Two friendships in two breasts requires the same aversions and desires. In men desire begets love, and in women love begets desire. Nothing is so great an example of bad manners as flattery. If you flatter all the company, you please none; if you flatter only one or two, you offend the rest. Vanity is a mark of humility rather than of pride. The ruin of a state is generally preceded by an universal degeneracy of manners and contempt of religion. Men are happy to be laughed at for their humor, but not for their folly. They say fingers were made before forks, and hands before knives. I love good creditable acquaintance, I love to be the worst of the company. Blot out, correct, insert, refine, enlarge, diminish, interline. Be mindful, when invention fails, to scratch your head and bite your nails. In church your grandsire cut his throat, to do the job too long he tarried. He should have had my hearty vote to cut his throat before he married. What poet would not grieve to see his brother write as well as he? But rather than they should excel, he'd wish his rivals all in hell. We are so fond on one another because our ailments are the same. You cannot reason a person out of something they were not reasoned into. When a true genius appears, you can know him by this sign, that all the dunces are in a confederacy against him. You should never be ashamed to admit you have been wrong. It only proves you are wiser today than yesterday. The best maxim I know in this life is, to drink your coffee when you can, and when you cannot, to be easy without it. We have enough religion to make us hate, but not enough to make us love one another. There are few wild beasts more to be dreaded than a talking man having nothing to say. Falsehood flies, and truth comes limping after it, so that when men came to be undeceived, it is too late, the jest is over, and the tale hath had its effect. Every day is an opportunity to make a new happy ending. May you live all the days of your life. Laws are like cobwebs, which may catch small flies, but let wasps and hornets break through. All human race would be wits, and millions miss, for one that hits. And he gave it for his opinion, that whoever could make 2 ears of corn, or 2 blades of grass, to grow upon a spot of ground where only one grew before, would deserve better of mankind, and do more essential service to his country, than the whole race of politicians put together. It is useless to attempt to reason a man out of a thing he was never reasoned into. The best doctors in the world are Dr. Diet, Dr. Quiet, and Dr. Merryman. Satire is a sort of glass wherein beholders do generally discover everybody's face but their own, which is the chief reason for that kind reception it meets with in the world, and that so very few are offended with it. That was excellently observed, say I, when I read a passage in an author, where his opinion agrees with mine. When we differ, there I pronounce him to be mistaken. The latter part of a wise person's life is occupied with curing the follies, prejudices and false opinions they contracted earlier. We of this age have discovered a shorter, and more prudent method to become scholars and wits, without the fatigue of reading or of thinking. Difference in opinions has cost many millions of lives, for instance, whether flesh be bread, or bread be flesh, whether the juice of a certain berry be blood or wine. It is impossible that anything so natural, so necessary, and so universal as death, should ever have been designed by Providence as an evil to mankind. No man was ever so completely skilled in the conduct of life, as not to receive new information from age and experience. A lie does not consist in the indirect position of words, but in the desire and intention, by false speaking, to deceive and injure your neighbor. Although men are accused of not knowing their own weakness, yet perhaps few know their own strength. It is in men as in soils, where sometimes there is a vein of gold which the owner knows not of. It is in men as in soils where sometimes there is a vein of gold which the owner knows not. We have chosen to fill our hives with honey and wax, thus furnishing mankind with the two noblest of things, which are sweetness and light. When people are met together, a short silence does much improve conversation. Care and vigilance, with a very common understanding, may preserve a man's goods from thieves. As love without esteem is capricious and volatile, esteem without love is languid and cold. A wife should be always a reasonable and agreeable companion because she cannot always be young,